The sequester is slated to begin on Friday. I was on Viewpoint with Fugelsang last night discussing the politics of this. The president, now look, both parties are responsible for the sequester existing. And I'm not quite convinced that the president has given up his ideas of a grand bargain. At one point, the American public will push back on the cuts that are going to be taking place on Friday, but it may take some time. This is not analogous to the government shutdown of 1994 because on one day in 94, you had a functioning government. On the next day, everything closed. This will not be as dramatic. And therefore, the president doesn't have the same amount of leverage. But to the extent that the American public is going to feel the implications of the sequester, they are going to blame Republicans. And what are Republicans doing? Well, of course, the last refuge of a party that is so crippled and unable to even negotiate and accept essentially victory in the form of entitlement cuts or more drastic cuts to government in the time of anemic private sector growth when we can least afford cuts to government. What do? Well, they complain about process, and they complain that the president is going out and he's still in campaign mode. You'll recall that about maybe, if you have the capacity to remember this long ago, it was about maybe 8 months ago when we still heard Republicans whining about how, despite the fact that our elected representative bodies passed the Affordable Care Act, that this was rammed through by President Obama. He never went to the people. And now, of course, the complaint is he's going to the people. So what do if you are the leader of the Republicans in the House and a significant portion of your caucus has to answer to their rabid constituents who know nothing of what they're talking about, but have adopted this notion of austerity in the same way they would adopt the cultural notion that the gays are going to convert us all to gayness. And you cannot actually get and exert any leadership over your own caucus to get them to deal with the sequester. What do? Well, I would submit to you, you go out to your local bar, have a couple of shots of rye or whiskey, chase it down with a brew, head over to the tanning booth for 15 minutes of touch-up, and then you hold a press conference and you say this.
And so for 16 months, the president's been traveling all over the country holding rallies instead of sitting down with Senate leaders in order to try to forge an agreement over there in order to move a bill. We have moved the bill in the House twice. We should not have to move a third bill before the Senate gets off their ass and begins to do something.
Now, of course, he's talking all sorts of gibberish there, but blaming the president for having campaigned for the presidency, I guess, and then subsequently blaming him for going out and talking to the American public. And then, of course, blaming the Senate. The Senate has passed numerous bills. But obviously, anything the Senate passes is going to die in the House. So John Boehner, having a pity party for himself and realizing, I think, that he's going to be on the losing end of this at one point or another. That is, of course, after the American public loses.